Hi, this is Gary with MACMOST.com. Today, let me show you some ways that you can discover new artists on Apple Music. MACMOST is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 900 supporters. Go to MACMOST.com/Patreon. There you could read more about the Patreon campaign, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. So I think one of the best reasons to subscribe to a subscription service like Apple Music, Spotify, or something else is to discover new artists. After all, since you're paying for access to all of the music, you can easily search for and try out new artists. It's one of the best reasons to choose a streaming music service rather than paying for songs and albums one at a time. So when you start with Apple Music, you're going to see a screen like this that will ask you to select some of your favorite genres. This is the best way to get started. Now, you may skip this screen or not pay too much attention to it, but it is important to go ahead and select these to get off to a quick start. After all, Apple Music can't suggest things to you if it doesn't know what you like. And then continue to narrow things down by selecting artists you like and eliminating ones that you don't. So now you're off to a good start. But it's important before you do anything else to start by adding some of your favorite albums. You already have music that you like that's in Apple Music. Now, it's of course easy to search for an album. So when you search, make sure you select Apple Music here at the top and then search for an album that you like. And of course you could just play it and search for it again anytime you want to play the album. But if you add it to your library, then it's easily accessible when you go to look at your artists and albums. And it also tells Apple Music that you like that album. It's part of your collection. So now suggestions are going to be weighted knowing what's already in your collection. Another way to indicate that you like something is to listen to it, of course. So maybe give your favorite albums another listen. And also you can rate them. To do that, click here and then select Love. Take some time to do that now by adding some of your all-time favorite songs and albums and going to different songs and loving them if you really like them. So now that you've set that up, let's discover things that are completely new. Apple Music gives you two different screens, Listen Now and Browse, and they're both very useful and overlap a lot in what they do. Let's go to Listen Now. You'll see here top picks for you based on what Apple Music knows about you. So this is going to change over time as you add more music and love more music. Now what you're not going to see here right off the bat is a list of playlists customized for you because you've just started with the service. But here's what that screen looks like on my real account. And you can see there's one here called New Music Mix and that's updated every Friday and I love listening to that. It's new music that just came out and it includes a lot of my favorite artists that have new songs out. It also includes artists that are close to the ones that I regularly listen to and have in my library. So every Friday I look forward to listening to the New Music Mix. I don't like every song in there. I'm sure to use the love and dislike option to express my opinion of each individual song. So the next week's new music list will be even better. But you can use the Listen Now and Browse sections to get other ideas for things you want to listen to. And it's really useful if you select something and then give it a try and then love or dislike something in there. By selecting the things that you think you'd be interested in and ignoring the ones that you're not, you're also telling Apple Music what you might like to see here in the future. And don't look past the Browse section either. There are more categories in here that while not as tuned to you specifically, they show you a lot of what's new. Like there's a new music section, songs we love, so curated lists and things like that. So you could go in here, see what's really new that other people are listening to, and maybe try out a few things. And you don't have to go and listen to something to figure out whether or not you might like it or not. For instance, you go into an artist that you don't recognize, immediately you're shown a genre here so you get an idea. If you don't like country music and it says country, you could probably skip it. You also get a description that you could read and these can often help you decide whether or not you want to give this music a listen. I love exploring this. It's kind of like the modern version of browsing through a record store. But you don't have to just see what's in here. Apple Music is filled with playlists, both specially curated playlists by Apple employees and individuals like yourself that have published playlists. So you could go and search for playlists. So for instance, if I wanted to search for classic rock here, I can take a look, and again I'm making sure I have Apple Music selected, and I have top results, artists, albums, songs, and here are playlists. And you can see there are more than just the ones shown here. So there are a bunch of different playlists. If I'm in the mood for listening to classic rock, I could go through this, find a list that maybe fits my mood, go into it, and listen and add songs, albums, and artists to my library, and also love or dislike songs, and enjoy listening to this. But it's also teaching Apple Music a little bit more about what to recommend to me in the future. And of course this is going to be a list of mostly older music, but if you search for something and go for a playlist that includes new music in it, you might find some interesting things. Now at the bottom of Browse there's a section here with more to explore, and you could do things like browse by category. So if you want to kind of skip searching through all those different things to find music you like, you can simply go into here and select something, go into that specific category, and there's a page here with playlists, new songs, new releases, artist playlists, and all sorts of other things including stations. So you could go into here for instance and see there's an Apple Music Hard Rock radio station, and you can click on that to just listen to a continuous stream of what's available. So you're going to probably discover some new things in that genre by listening to one of these stations in here. You also notice here at the bottom of Browse there's charts, and you'll find other charts here as well, including city charts, which are new, so you can see what people in different cities are listening to. For instance, here's the current chart in New York, and you can see what's there. You can then see what's in Los Angeles. I find these charts are particularly interesting because if you listen on the radio and you hear, say, a top 25 chart, it's usually the top 25 pop songs. It doesn't include music from lots of other genres. Whereas these charts are really about what people are listening to in that particular city regardless of genre. So while there may be a few things on there you like, listening to the list may expose you to different kinds of music entirely. There are also daily top 100 for different countries that you can listen to. But if you're in the United States and look at the list, it's amazing how different some of the lists are in different countries. Even other English speaking countries have completely different songs all throughout their top 100 list. And at the bottom of Browse here there's also a charts button, so you can go into that if you just want to see different charts. So here are the city charts, the top 100, top playlists, and top albums. Another thing you can do is create your own radio station using a song, album, or playlist. So for instance I could take this song here, click the More button, and there's Create Station. And this will create a new radio station using that song as a basis. In other words, it's going to keep playing music based on that song. So if I go through the songs here I can just keep going and playing different songs all based on that. And you could do the same thing with the album in general here. Create a station. So a station is basically just going to play different songs from Apple Music that fit that song or album that you selected. But you could do the same thing with a playlist in a little different way. It's a new feature. If you have a playlist playing already, you could click here to see the list and make sure you're set to playing next. And there's a button right here, and this is for autoplay. But I call it Infinite Playlist because what will happen is with this turned on, it will basically go through the playlist, play all the songs in it, and when it gets to the end it'll continue to play other music that fits the songs in the playlist. So instead of your playlist just ending after say 10 or 20 songs, it will just keep going forever. Now if you don't feel like browsing through all of this stuff to find some new music or listen to something that fits a certain genre or mood, you can always just ask Siri. So you can do something like this. Play indie music. Now also note that Apple has some radio stations that are actually real radio stations. So we're not talking about radio stations in terms of just playing random songs specifically tailored for you. We're talking about with DJs and shows and everything. So if you go to Listen Now and look for radio, there's Apple Music 1, which is the primary station with all sorts of shows and DJs, and there are a few other ones as well. You can click on the little calendar button and see different shows. If you look through Listen Now, you usually find a section called Apple Music Radio Shows, and you can go there as well. So you can find a radio show that kind of fits the type of music that you like and give it a listen. It may not be something you want to listen to all the time, but it's an easy choice if you're driving or you don't have time to select music, you just want music to start playing. And of course, you're going to discover new artists this way. Of course, another thing you can do is listen to real, actual regional radio stations from all over the world. Apple Music taps into TuneIn and iHeartRadio. So if you search for a radio station by its name or call letters, you can usually find it. Sometimes you have to try a few different things. And you can do your search and you'll see results. Sometimes you'll see results for albums and songs and everything that match it. But you scroll down till you find stations and then you can play that station and listen to it that way. And of course pay attention to what the songs are. And then you usually can search in Apple Music to find the songs or artists that you discover. Now another thing you could do is you could share playlists. So I've got this playlist here. I can name it something. I could publish it so other people could find it. And also, if I control click on it here, I could share and copy a link to that or send it in an email. What that means is I can create my own playlists and send them to friends, which means also, of course, friends can send playlists to me. So you can challenge other friends that have Apple Music lists to make a playlist for you. Have them pick songs that you like and send you the playlist, and you can in exchange send them a playlist of songs you think they will like. It's the modern day version of exchanging mixtapes. So I hope this gave you some ideas of how you can use Apple Music without remaining in your own echo chamber of just the music that you like. You can use it to discover new artists and do so without having to worry about paying for each individual song to give it a try. You can just explore and enjoy new music as much as you like. If you liked this video, click the thumbs up button below to let me know. I publish new tutorials each weekday. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out.